Hello everyone, it's your host Hira and welcome back to another episode of the Love in Doha show. I hope you guys are doing well this Friday afternoon. It's day one of the weekend and I hope you all are enjoying your day off. For today, I have quite some important topics to catch you guys up on, including news of a very important meeting between Oman and Qatari leaders to discuss points of regional peace. Then moving on to Qatar welcoming the recent 10-day ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. Then wrapping things up with a wholesome career story of a Qatari pilot that has been going viral online for her totally awesome job. Loads to catch up on this Friday, so let's get started. Firstly, about a meeting that might not have had cameras flashing everywhere, but absolutely carried weight for the region. The Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, met with the Sultan of Oman, Haytham bin Tariq, in Muscat just yesterday in a high-level visit focused on one key theme: keeping the region steady in a very unpredictable moment. At a time when tensions across the region remain sensitive, this wasn't just a routine diplomatic exchange. It was a strategic sit-down between two countries that have consistently positioned themselves as voices of calm and dialogue. Inside the talks, the focus was clear: regional stability, de-escalation, and strengthening cooperation between Qatar and Oman. From security concerns to energy flows and even the safety of vital shipping routes, the conversation touched on issues that don't just affect governments. They affect everyday lives across the Gulf. What stands out here is a shared approach. Both Qatar and Oman have often leaned into diplomacy over confrontation, and this meeting reinforced that alignment. It's about keeping communication lines open, reducing friction, and making sure that escalation is never the default option. And beyond the geopolitics, there's also the strengthening of bilateral ties, trade, coordination, and long-term partnership building between two nations that continue to work closely behind the scenes. No drama, no spectacle, just serious conversations at a serious time. Because in a region where headlines can shift quickly, these kinds of meetings matter more than ever. They're the quiet mechanisms that help keep the bigger picture from tipping off balance. And with both leaders reaffirming cooperation, the message coming out of Muscat was simple. Dialogue is still very much the preferred path forward. Moving on to the next story, a major regional development that's been making headlines: Qatar's official response to the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. The state of Qatar has welcomed the announcement of the ceasefire, describing it as an important first step toward de-escalation in a region that has been under intense pressure for weeks. Doha's message is clear: any pause in violence is not just symbolic, it's essential for preventing further escalation and opening the door to diplomacy. According to official statements, Qatar stressed the need for full adherence to the ceasefire terms, warning that stability depends on both sides respecting the agreement on the ground. The broader expectation is that this truce doesn't remain temporary, but becomes a foundation for longer-term peace efforts in the region. Now, the ceasefire itself, brokered with strong U.S. involvement, outlines a 10-day pause in hostilities between Israel and Lebanon, aimed at halting strikes, reducing military escalation, and creating space for further negotiations toward a more lasting arrangement. Reports also indicate that while the agreement is fragile, it is being seen internationally as a critical window to step back from direct confrontation and prevent further civilian displacement. And this is where Qatar's diplomatic role comes into focus. Doha also expressed appreciation for the efforts of U.S. President Donald Trump, crediting American mediation and diplomatic engagement for helping bring the agreement together. It reflects Qatar's consistent position, working closely with international partners, especially the United States, to support mediation efforts and conflict de-escalation in the region. The message coming out of Doha is measured but significant. Ceasefires are fragile but necessary. And with continued diplomacy, they can become the starting point for something more durable. And lastly, for one of those you can't make this up moments that blends internet fame with real-life adrenaline, we're talking about Qatar's own sports pilot making waves online and in the skies. Just a few months ago, Qatari sports pilot Reem Al-Qatari was featured on the viral internet series Career Ladder, where the host tries to guess people's jobs based on clues alone. And let's just say, this one was not easy to crack. The idea of a female sports pilot already had viewers hooked. But what happened next took it to a whole new level. Fast forward to now, and Reem isn't just part of the episode, she's flipping the script entirely. She shared exclusive behind-the-scenes content and invited the host, Max Klimenko, to step out of the studio and into the cockpit for a real day-in-the-life experience. And we're not talking about a quick tour. This was the full experience. Pre-flight checks, cockpit insights, runway energy, and that moment where the engine roars and suddenly you're airborne. It's one thing to guess a career from the outside, but it's another to feel the reality of it at 30,000 feet. What makes this story even bigger is what it represents. Reem isn't just showcasing her profession, she's redefining it in real time. A Qatari sports pilot front and center on a global viral platform, showing thousands of people what this career actually looks like. And honestly, it's hard not to call it one of the coolest careers out there. From a guessing game on the internet to real-world aviation, she's not just part of the conversation, she's elevating it. And in doing so, she's also quietly putting Qatar on the map in a space most people wouldn't expect. This is exactly the kind of moment that sticks, where storytelling meets skill and curiosity turns into inspiration. And if this is just one episode of her journey, you get the feeling we're only seeing the beginning. That is all we have for today, guys. I wish you all a lovely day with all your loved ones. We will be back on the show tomorrow with another episode on all the latest updates. But for now, stay safe, enjoy the weekend, and keep loving Doha.